From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi. He is Corey Clark. We work for Warchant.com. Use the promo code Warchant30. Gets you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Beautiful day. We're doing this on Sunday before the Super Bowl. So if you came here for flaming hot Super Bowl takes, you're at the wrong show. We're going to talk a little about the basketball team. We'll have some recruiting news on the back end of the podcast. Who knows? Maybe if it's a really awesome, classic, vintage game, we'll come back and revisit, but probably not. It's a beautiful day in Tallahassee, Corey. It's sunny. Puxatawny Phil said spring's coming early. It's about 70 degrees. I am stoked. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I can't believe that play Mahomes made in the third quarter. I mean, that guy's just nuts. Incredible. And then also,
what was he thinking? What was Kyle Shanahan thinking? You know,
but I mean, he plays the game at a different level, Aslan. Like he can make throws that we're just not used to seeing. So anyway, remarkable game. I can't believe that I was lucky enough to watch it.
Yeah. How are you though, man? Everything all right? Good weekend?
Everything's good. Yeah, it's really pretty up here too because people care about the weather. A day after they hear something, really nice day. It was pretty gross the last couple of days here in Beaufort, Georgia, but on Sunday, beautiful blue skies and about 65.
Yeah,
perfect weather.
We'll see. It affects the entire tenor of the show. If it's a gloomy day out and I'm sick, which I was the last few days, then I'm not going to bring the fire. I'm not going to bring the funk, as the kids say. But I'm feeling better. The sun's out. That improves my health. We probably should start looking back on our reviews on iTunes. Remember, I was supposed to look at our reviews like the 5th day of every month. I'll try to remember this week. But do please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, tell a friend or 5. And eat some delicious Zaxby's, which I intend to do during the Super Bowl because that's how I roll. Let's talk a little about basketball, and then I want to talk about basketball in the Clark family before we segue to hopefully Michael Langston. Hopefully Michael Langston's alive and conscious, because, man, just covering recruiting is a whole nother animal. Irish O'Fell out there doing yeoman's work, giving you folks your nuggets. So we'll get to that stuff hopefully later. But Florida State, off the schneid, if you want to call it that. I mean, it was just one loss. I wasn't panicked. I think Leonard Hamilton thought I was panicked, but I wasn't. They take down Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, 74-63. Devin Vassell leads the way, career high 27 points, perfect 7 of 7 from 3-point range. I mean, I guess that's pretty much, just he's so good, man. He is so good. He's no longer really a secret. Jay Billis is going on every single channel that ESPN owns and telling people that Devin Vassell's a first-round pick. So we got to enjoy him out last. But, man, Saturday was something else, it feels like, Corey.
Yeah, that's it was historic. There have been 3 other players in ACC history that had hit 7 threes without missing one, and 2 of them were other Florida State guys, Sam Cassell and James Collins. So that's kind of that's a Florida State record there. 3 of the 4 are Florida State guys now. Pretty cool. But yeah, man, he's just every game you see him, or pretty much every game you see him, it's just you're reminded more and more. Yeah, okay, he probably won't be long for this version of the sport. He's going to be paid millions of dollars here very soon. But yeah, he was really good, man. And I thought, he kind of overshadowed some flaws there in the first half. I thought I didn't think they played all that well, honestly, in the first half. But he had 17 points on 6 shots, which is why they had the lead. And then in the second half, I just thought they played really well on both ends. Patrick Williams looked a little bit like Patrick Williams again, which is a huge deal, getting him back in the mix. They had to play without Trent Forrest, without MJ Walker. And Anthony Polite was not great in that game offensively, but they still find ways to win. They still found a way to win even without one of their best players on the floor. We'll see what he is for North Carolina, but overall, man, I thought it was the best they had played from start to finish, really, since probably the Louisville game. Like, they've been winning since the Louisville game, but none of them have looked quite like that, where they kind of put the vice grip on the opposing offense. Virginia Tech had a run there of about 8 minutes where they scored a lot of points. But other than that, Florida State made it really, really hard for them. And then on offense, even if, Anthony Polite missed like 4 wide open threes, but it was good offense. And he really usually knocks those down. So I thought they played pretty well on both ends.
Yeah, as the first half was winding down, they should have gone into half up by 10 points or so, but they weren't able to kind of, demoralize Virginia Tech going into halftime. But, for as good as defense as they played, to me, I still think there were several instances where Virginia Tech had to go deep into the shot clock, and they had some hurried, shots and then some rushed, sort of opportunities. But they still had some pretty good looks, and I'm not trying to dismiss Florida State's defensive acumen or the way they played their effort and such, but it's just one of those crazy things where I think maybe a lot of Florida State fans, it's hard for them to totally immerse themselves in basketball because I think we still think of, I don't want to make the whole football basketball comparison, but I think, there's a certain, tactics and strategy that people, even if you don't know a lot about football, you still think you know a lot about football. If you watch enough football that you know what's going on. But like Virginia Tech they depend on the three-pointer, and they took so many three-point shots. I think they shot, 23% from behind the arc? But they had some pretty good looks. It just didn't fall for them. And then, that's just kind of the way it works with basketball. And then Florida State was able to take advantage and get some points in transition. And, Vassell's shooting obviously was a huge deal. But, I mean, I'm not trying to say like this is still a flawed team. I don't believe in Florida State. But, they'll win by 11 when a team is shooting cold like that. But I don't know how much of it was Florida State affecting it and how much was just Virginia Tech not making shots and maybe trying to press too much and knock off the fifth team in the nation.
Well, I mean, that's what Virginia Tech does. I don't think we can just say sometimes they miss shots. I mean, they're 30th in the country. They're top 10% in the country in 3-point field goal percentage, and I think they were 5th in three-pointers made. That might have been the fewest they made all season. They average about 11 a game making threes, and so that's what they do. That's their offense, and it's even more of their offense against a team like Florida State because they know they're not going to just be able to go at the rim. Typically, a typical Florida State team, you can't just go attack the rim. You need to shoot from the outside. And it just, I mean, if you pass the ball enough and get in the paint enough, you're going to have somebody shooting an open three, but is it the right guy shooting an open three? Florida State, I thought, was much better defensively. They contested many of them. And more importantly, they kept the point guard from just getting into the paint at will and having a place to go with it. The reason they lost to Virginia, man, wasn't because of the last 2 minutes of offense. It's because they gave up 61 points to Virginia, which is like giving up 80 or 90 to a normal team. They were bad defensively. And Vassell said as much after the game. He's like, yeah, we watched a lot of hours of film and talked about how they kind of rededicated themselves to the defensive side of the floor because they were not good at all. That kid got in the lane at will on the 2 biggest possessions of the game for a layup and for an alley-oop dunk. That doesn't happen to Florida State. That's why they lost that game. So in this one, even when they switch, and that's the thing, man, we got to remember Florida State switches 1 through 5. And for people that don't know that means that if a point guard comes and runs a pick and roll with the center, then that means that Balsa or Dominic or one of those other guys, maybe Osborne or Patrick Williams, has to switch and then start playing the point guard at the top of the key, which is exactly what Virginia wanted. In that, at the end of that game, they kept running pick and rolls with Malik Osborne's man to get Malik Osborne on the point guard. And the point guard just blitzed by him twice. And in this game, Virginia Tech ran that a lot as well to get Balsa on the point guard at the top of the key or to get Dominic on the point guard at the top of the key. And they did a very good job, for the most part, of keeping that kid in front of them. And it's hard to do. You're talking about a 7-footer having to spread out, move his feet to try to keep a 5'10" kid from getting in the lane. And I just thought they all bought in. They all realized how good a shooting team that was, and they played accordingly. And you're also reminded again, Patrick Williams is a big deal, man, not just because of what he can do offensively. He's a very big deal defensively. He can certainly guard 1 through 5. He's really good at getting rebounds, and he's really good at protecting the rim. And that's a guy moving forward that you feel like is just he hasn't even come close to scratching the surface yet. And I'm sure there are some Florida State fans that are like, hey, man, why don't you not scratch the surface all that much this season? Because we really want to see you next year. But even still, that guy is a guy that can be a difference maker and should be a difference maker over the next 2 months if he's healthy. But yeah, I thought that was the key. I mean, obviously Vassell is the key because Vassell's awesome and had a great game. But I thought the defense was dialed in and energetic and energized and didn't just let guys have free runs to the basket.
I agree with that. And I also, it's funny you talk about how well Patrick Williams played. I agree with that as well. But like you look at the box score and he was 3 of 10, which I'm like, really? He took 10 shots? He only made 3 of them?
He took as many shots as Devin.
Yeah. But,
which is no, I don't think Patrick Williams played all that well. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, he had his moments though. He showed those flashes.
Right.
He made a couple really big time plays. Where again, you're just reminded, oh yeah, that's right. Let's see what happens when he puts it together and gets back into a rhythm.
The one thing I was hoping they would have developed by now, this late in the season, was a little more of a sort of screen and roll game with Olenicek or Koprivica. But there was 2 possessions, I think almost back to back, where Olenicek had a couple flushes off some lobs. That was something I'd like to see them kind of develop a little bit more. So
one of those was a Patrick Williams screen and roll too, which they don't do that much with him, and that was a really good find by him. Kind of a backhanded pass towards the basket, which was in that moment I think it was a 6-8 point game or something. It was a really big play. They haven't done that a lot. They haven't done it as much as they did with the bigs from last year. But obviously these bigs are different than the ones they had last year. By the way, did you see? I know it's the G League, but did you see Chris Kumaji's game on Saturday night? I know you didn't watch his game. Who watches G League games? But his stats?
No.
He had 18 points, 20 rebounds, and 12 block shots.
What?
Yeah, in a professional basketball game. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that crazy?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I mean, that guy's he's gonna play in the NBA, and I don't mean he might not play for a full season. He might not play for a full month. I think at some point this season he'll be called up for like a week at least.
Get that 2-way contract.
But yeah, that's really cool. What a game.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Good for him. I did see like some sort of tweet from the G League a few days ago that had like a mashup of all these blocks that he's made, but it was during the course of the entire season. It wasn't just one game, but clearly he's elevated his game. Good for him, man. I've always liked Chris. Good dude.
Yeah, so you got that. You don't have him or Kabengele rolling to the rim, so it's not quite the hey, let's just get it near the rim and it's going to be a dunk.
Right.
With these 2 guys, I think Balsa has a chance to be that guy in a year or 2. I really like his aggressiveness and his style of play. I think he's going to be a real good player. But right now they don't have that. They're not really getting anything out of Malik Osborne right now at all. Because it's Florida State, it's 18 strong. Malik Osborne struggled pretty mightily here the last few weeks. But Raekwon has had a couple of nice games. I thought he was pretty good in that game. Hit a big 3, had a big bucket in the second half. And then Wyatt Wilkes gave you 8 points in the first half.
Yeah, man.
And we kind of just like, well, yeah, all right, Wyatt, you're open. You knocked down a shot. It's like, man, 10 days ago, people would have been like, why is he even on the court?
Right.
And now he's out there, and not only is he not a disadvantage, he's making plays for you guys, or making plays for Florida State. It's pretty remarkable what a little confidence can do. And he's a rotation player now. Even with Patrick Williams healthy, Wyatt Wilkes still got in the game and made some plays.
Yeah, and again, all this against the backdrop of not having MJ Walker, who apparently tweaked his ankle against Virginia. Do wonder if he'll be available Monday as they take on North Carolina. So I wasn't able to watch any of it, but I did see Ira's tweet. So Cole Anthony put up 26, and they still lost to Boston College, North Carolina.
I think Cole Anthony had 5 at the half and no field goals, and then in the second half he had 21 points. They were losing at half by 4, and then they were up by 1. I think with 13 seconds left, and they fouled a kid shooting a 3. And the kid made 2 of the free throws, and then Cole Anthony on the other end just dribbled out the clock and threw up a prayer, and that was the game. He's obviously awesome. With a kid like him, North Carolina obviously has a chance. You have like a puncher's chance because he could go off for 40. And they got another kid, Garrison Brooks, who's a really good player, probably a first-team all-conference player. But other than that, there's just not a lot of talent there, and they don't guard real well. So you have a chance if you play well early to maybe take them out of it completely. But if you don't and you let them hang around and you've got a great player, a lottery pick, man, they can take over games. And that's what I want to see is if Florida State can build on this win and not let a team hang around. They've let most every team. They've won 8 conference games, and I think all 8 have been games in the second half. 7 of them have been games in the final 4 or 5 minutes. You want to see if they can do something to maybe take a knock. I mean, it's just not a good Carolina team this year. It's just not. If they can just kind of break their spirit early, or are they going to come out and kind of go through the motions and let North Carolina get up by 5 or 8, or let it be a game with 5 minutes left?
Well,
Because then anything's possible, man. It's the ACC. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Cole Anthony can hit 4 threes in a row.
I feel like that's almost kind of like an unfair ask because, I mean, Florida State's ranked 5th. I mean, we'll see what happens when the polls come out later on Monday. But so they're going to get everybody's best shot. They're a tier 1, whatever, quadrant 1 win for all these teams that are desperate to get into the tournament. So it's kind of a tough ask to have them just like come out and just absolutely dominate a team for 40 minutes and play in this conference. And then I don't know.
Yeah, for sure, but it does happen. Like Louisville's done it. Duke's done it. Like Duke always gets everybody's best effort, and Duke's won some games by blowouts. Louisville's they just won on the road by 20 at NC State. So at some point you take that challenge, and I thought that again, that's what I thought Saturday was. Like they were in control of that game. It really felt the whole game. Yeah. They started out well. Virginia Tech went on a little run where they buried some threes, but other than that, it felt like Florida State was kind of in control for 40 minutes. With a few blips here and there.
Agreed.
That's what you want to see. Like I don't know if they have the makeup to beat a team by 35 points, but they have a makeup to be up comfortably the whole game. And then, kind of like that Notre Dame, right? Like Notre Dame, they were up between 8 and 12 or 8 and 14. It seemed like for a 25-minute stretch there. And then in the final 5 minutes, they just gagged all over themselves. And you want to just see them, be able to maybe put a team away a little easier than that. But hey, wins are wins. You can't. If they beat North Carolina 71-70, you'll still take it. That's a good win.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to kind of maybe see them step on a team's throat when they have the chance. But you're right. It's the ACC, and it is Carolina, man, and they are completely desperate. And they do have one of the best players in the country, who apparently is back because he scored 26 points in his return.
He is back. Hey, actually, I was going to try to force a football topic in here, but. Let's just keep with the basketball theme. So how good is Brady Clark at basketball? Like, are we like projecting like 4-star, shooting guard, class of 2029 or whatever he is?
I mean, what class is he? So he's in the 6th grade right now in 2020. So 2026, I guess he's a class of 2026.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm expecting him to be he'll probably be about 6'4", 6'5".
Okay.
Just athletic, just a bouncy kid. He's got those Clark fibers, those fast twitch muscle fibers. So he's just kind of a kangaroo. He's going to be bouncing all over the gym with those ups. It's I don't know is the real answer to that. He's got a little something in him because, I mean, he's one of the smallest kids in this, or certainly one of the smallest kid on his own team. And he put up 15 in a tournament game, which is more than I ever scored in a game. I think I scored 8 once. So he's already a lot better than I ever was in organized basketball. And he's a good shooter, and he sees the floor really well, Aslan. He sees the floor. He knows the game. He knows to make the right pass. The problem that I tell him, if we do want to project, and I know nobody's tuning in for Wake Up Brady, but if we do want to project, I tell him, well, this is funny. He actually asked me one time, he goes, "Do you think I could play at Florida State?"
Oh.
And I'm like, well, and I'm real with him. It's my job to be real with him, but I don't want to crush dreams either.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you would have to be incredible. And he goes, well, not really, because they play like 10 or 11 guys. So I could just be the 11th guy at Florida State. He's like, it's not like I'm asking if I could start at Duke.
That's a spirit.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. I was like, but, Anthony Polite doesn't start at Florida State typically. Until this year, he was the 11th guy on the bench. And he can do reverse dunks, Brady. Like, there's a level of athleticism that you're not going to have. And I'm not saying that. And I say, so here's the thing. For you to be at that level of a basketball player, you have to put in your 10,000 hours, and you have to be an incredible ball handler and an incredible shooter. And you have to be in incredible shape, because you're not going to be blessed with size because of your genetics. And you're probably not going to be blessed with great athleticism. So for you to have a chance to play college basketball, yeah, man, I should have married like an Amazon woman. Shanna's dad is shorter than I am, so he's probably cursed when it comes to this sport. But I said I don't crush the dreams, and I just keep it real though. I'm not going to be one of those guys like, oh yeah, just
whatever you put
just
your mind to.
Hard. Yeah, anything you put your mind to, you can do it. I tell him like, look, man, Trae Young's only 6 feet. I don't know if Trae Young can dunk, but Trae Young probably, when he was your age, probably practiced basketball 15 or 20 hours a week, maybe more than that. And he played all the time. He just going out and shooting for 15 minutes a day. You're not going to have a chance to play anywhere. But if you really, really put your mind to it, and bust your butt and try and put hours and hours in, you have a chance to play college ball somewhere. But, you have to, that's how what being a parent is. I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, you can do anything you want, buddy. You can be president, which, he could, I guess. But
clearly.
Right. But I would say he has a better chance to be president than he does to be an NBA basketball player.
Well,
you think that's fair? There aren't many 5'8" guys that look like there aren't people that look like me, because that's what Brady's going to look like. There aren't a lot of those guys out there in the NBA.
Like JJ Barea, I feel like that's got like a JJ Barea build, right? Like kind of short, squatty.
I'm going to start getting him JJ Barea highlights. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I keep it too real with him. And I'll be like, well, you probably don't need to be the NBA, but you have a buddy that's a really good athlete. Try to get in his entourage. I've told him that a few times. But I basically say, look, man, you have to be an unbelievable shooter and an unbelievable ball handler. And if you can do those two things, you have a chance to play somewhere. But if you're not great at those two things, and he's not great at it right now, I was like, you got no chance, just because look at the sport. Even if you grow up to be 5'11" or 6 foot somehow, the chances of your athleticism, you're going to have to rely on more than your athleticism. You're going to have to be an incredibly skilled player. So we'll see if he gets the message. He practiced for an hour today.
All right. How awesome was it, though? 15 points. How fun was that?
Yeah.
Were you there? I mean, were you able to watch the game? Like, did you see your son put up 15 in a tournament game?
No, yeah, I was there.
That's fantastic, man.
He actually scored their first 5 points. So that's the thing though, is it's not that out of character for him this year, which is crazy, because the first 4 or 5 games he might have scored 4 points total. Yeah. And then like the last 5 games, I think he's been in double figures in 4 of them, like 10, 11, 12, then a 15. The other game he had 6. But yeah, he's aggressive. He takes shots. He's not a ball hog, because they got a kid on their team that, man, he looks like he should be a sophomore in high school. I mean, he's incredible. Yeah. So Brady's job mainly is to feed him. But what happens is that kid gets almost every rebound, and he's a really good dribbler and passer. So he gets a rebound and just goes. And then Brady, of course, isn't about getting those defensive rebounds. He's not about that life. Yeah. So he just leaks out. And so he gets a lot of 2-on-1 fast break opportunities. Well, he knocked some shots. He's made some free throws. He's turned into a good little ball player. And he's one of the youngest kids in that league. So I figure by this time next year, he'll probably be averaging 20 and 10.
Okay.
Maybe 22 and 14. He'll be a double-double machine. And then by the time he's 15, I imagine you'll be seeing him he'll have his own YouTube channel.
Should we open the door for maybe holding him back a grade? Should we let him catch up to his peers in terms of age?
So that's another thing. So the kid I was just talking about, the best player on his team, he's already my size, but he's also 13. Like, he turned 13 in the season. It's an 11 and 12-year-old league, but he just turned 13. So he's going to be, I guess, 19 when he's a senior. And Brady's going to be 17 when he's a senior. Yeah. So I know we're not going to hold him back. The answer to that question is no, we're not going to hold him back. But I still kind of wish we had redshirted him in kindergarten. Yeah. Because all the buddies on his travel baseball team, like 8 of the 10 of them are all in the 5th grade, and Brady's in the 6th grade, even though they're all the same age. Yeah. So, yeah, but, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Hey, let me force this in real quick. We'll talk about it for a minute or two. We had our roundtable. What do you think about Ira talking about the ceiling for this football team is 10 or 11 games? Like,
wins, you mean?
Were we all talking about the same thing? We're just talking about the 12-game regular season, right?
Well, I mean, I guess that's all. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was talking about. But you could always add an extra game or two. Or I guess in Ira's case, the ACC championship game. Yeah. So 2 extra games. Ira's all in on the coaching staff, and I'm not far behind. man, again, there's the cautious optimism because as much as I like this coaching staff and what they put together and, the way they seem to be able to communicate with these kids, man, again, we talked about it last year a lot. These kids don't know how to win. And until you prove that you know how to win, I'm not going to necessarily believe you know how to win, if that makes sense. And I just don't, I'm not quite sold on them yet. But I still thought I think they're still. I mean, it's just to get 10 wins means you're only losing to Clemson and Florida, maybe, or maybe you beat Florida at home. Who knows? Let's see. We don't know the quarterback situation. We don't know the offensive line situation. I will say this. I would say in the next 2 or 3 years, which isn't going out on a huge limb, I think there's definitely a 10 or 11 win season in this program.
Okay.
That's how much I believe in this coaching staff right now, in this message, in the way the roster I think they're going to put together. But this year coming up with a bunch of kids that have never had a winning season, I don't know.
I haven't even watched one practice, and we're forecasting 11 wins in the next 36 months. Look at you. Look at you, so.
Hey, man, I like what I'm seeing. It's also something to be said, again, we haven't talked about it recently, but Tamarian and Marvin both coming back.
Yeah.
That says something, man. I don't know what exactly, but it says something. Because remember, everybody hightailed it out of here when Taggart took over. But your two best players, your two most draftable kids, both come back for the 2020 when they're draft eligible. I feel like says something about maybe how this coaching staff can make this roster believe in them. But again, just win the first game. Well, I'm going to say that another 100 times. Win the first game, and then see what happens when these kids actually have some belief and self-confidence. And it's not false confidence; it's actual, real confidence that they can go win a game. And let's go from there.
Well, the crazy thing is, I almost feel a little bit hypocritical because when we were doing this exercise, I obviously pull up the schedule. And then I'm like, all right, ceiling. So ceiling is like, I don't know, so you're totally optimistic. Everything kind of breaks your way, or like, do you eliminate all sort of cynical or conventional wisdom? Because then I started looking at, I'm like, all right, ceiling is just like nothing is in your way. Like you can do anything that's not just absolutely absurd, which to me would be beating Clemson at this point. So that's a loss. But then everything else, like really going through the list, I'm like, they can go to Boise State and beat Boise. They had Boise on the ropes here. With a little bit of a different philosophy and system and a coaching staff sort of stability, if you will. So, like, why couldn't they do that? So I start going through all these games. I'm like, they actually could win 10 games. Like, that is a reasonable ceiling. But then part of me is like, I can't. That's just I can't. So I did 9. So I don't know if I take.
Yeah, I think I did 9. But if we're doing 9, then that's only one off from 10. And the point I made in what I said was that they won 6 games last year. And you throw in Boise, you throw in Wake, you throw in Virginia. All those games were imminently winnable. Yeah. Now, also they had some games that were imminently losable, but they were a few plays away, you could say, from winning 9 games. And we're thinking they're going to be better coached and believe in their coaching staff more this season. Yeah. So you could see where that would happen. I think again, there's one game they just have no shot really. Yeah. Every other game, maybe Florida you throw in that camp, but every other game, don't you think the point spread is going to be a touchdown or less one way or the other?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that to me is a coin flips. So if you play the close games well at the end, if you make the right plays at the end, if you make the big plays, if you find ways to win late in games, yeah, man, you got a chance to win 9, I think. I would be shocked. The reason I say I would be shocked with 10 is because that means you're winning almost every coin toss.
Absolutely, and you're not going to.
You're not going to do that. But I feel like 9 is at least doable. But obviously, I think 7 and 8 is much more likely.
It's that stretch, man. Louisville, at Louisville, Pitt, home, at Miami, with no bye weeks. Louisville, that's going to be the 4th straight week they've played. Miami will be the 7th straight week they've played. Like that stretch right there, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Miami. Like if they go 3-0 there, I don't want to go too crazy. If they go 3-0 there, I think they will win 10 games.
Yeah, well, yeah, man. If they go 3-0 there, they're having a magical season. mean, those are 3 big wins.
That's a crazy. I know Pitt's all right, but like, man, Pitt and Doak should not be a coin flip. But that's where we're at.
No, I definitely think it is, though. I think Pitt will have a really good defense again.
Yeah.
And you just never know with that offensive line. But you're right, it shouldn't be. Yeah. But that's kind of where we are. I mean, at Louisville shouldn't be a coin flip.
Right. You beat Louisville. You actually beat them.
Yeah, beat them 2 years in a row. So neither one of those games should be coin flips, but they will be. You just if you play those big moments well, you got a chance to win.
I don't know. Miami might be a 10-point dog with Ed Reed being the chief
we'll
of staff.
see though. We'll see how it looks though, right? We're talking about that in February. And I'm not wishing this on him, but the quarterbacks get hurt, or he might really have a hard time adjusting to real defenses. We have no idea. We have no idea what any of these teams are going to look like.
Ed Reed, chief of staff. That's at least 4.5
Well, say
points.
no more. Say no more. Wouldn't Miami fans just want Ed Reed to be the head coach?
Didn't they want Alonzo Highsmith to be the coach?
Is he a coach? I'm not sure. I realized he was a coach.
Yeah, one of the Highsmiths.
No, it would be him. Yeah, I didn't know he was a coach.
Yeah, he was with the Browns, and
that's right.
They wanted the people in Miami want him for something, and the Browns let him go, and I don't know what he's doing now, but whatever. That's the U. Anyhow, all right, we're done. Probably Michael Langston coming up after this. We will have shows on Wednesday and Thursday, so post your questions on the Tribal Council, and we'll be back maybe. Welcome back, everybody. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's, and indeed, we do have Michael Langston. He was working 14 hours on Sunday, and I said, hey, man, can you wait an hour? And I just wanted to push him to the 15-hour threshold, see just how strong and tough he really is. Michael, how are you, friend?
I'm pretty good. Pretty long weekend.
Crazy, I really only want to talk to you about 2 specific prospects because I feel like everybody else was 2021 that was on campus. Was that a kind of what are your thoughts, I guess, or give me some background maybe on the fact that they had so many 2021 kids, like juniors here the last weekend before National Sign Day? What was maybe the reasoning behind that?
Well, I think the reason behind that was you're getting ready to go into a dead period on Monday, so you can't talk to these kids for at least another month. I think you have a dead period till March 1st. I think their idea was to get as many kids as they can in early to show them what they're doing, showing how they're turning around stuff, and how they got a exciting program running, and they want as many kids as they can to see the things that they're doing. And I think they did a really good job getting a lot of talented, juniors on campus. And I think that's kind of the main reason to show what they're doing. And it kind of speaks to, the work ethic of Mike Norvell and his staff, that they're just relentless, man. These guys, they keep me going, Aslan. They keep me going. And these guys are working hard. And I think it just speaks to, they're serious about getting this turned around, and the excitement from the last 2 weekends with the junior day and then in this weekend for juniors has been really impressive.
Okay, let's get to some specifics here. Not give away everything, obviously. A lot of the 2021 stuff, we're not going to touch on any of the 2021 stuff, folks. If you want, go to the Premium Recruiting Board and read Michael's nuggets that he posted. Iron also is out there helping him out. But I guess 3 guys, class of 2020. Sidney Williams, what was going on there? That seemed like not your normal average visit weekend.
Now, I've been doing it 19 years, and I've never in all my years of doing it, I've never seen a kid that takes 2 official visits in one weekend in a matter of 2 days. For those that don't know, he officially visited FSU. I think he got there. I could be wrong. He could have got there Thursday, but I think he got there Friday, starting to visit. Did the visit. Then we get into, Saturday. He was there most of the day Saturday, and then the evening, all of a sudden next thing we know, we hear he's in Indiana for an official visit. I think what's going on here is he's waiting to see if he got an FSU offer. That's really going to dictate whether they can pull Sidney or not. Right now, he does not have an FSU offer, And I think the reason he took the Indiana visit is because that's another school that he's interested in. And just to have something, in case the FSU one doesn't work out, he took that visit to see how he likes it. And then, but at the end of the day, I think if FSU offers him, he's close with Marcus Woodson, the defensive backs coach at FSU. So I think if they offer, then there's a decent chance he'll be in this class. And the other dynamic of this one is they're waiting on the decision from Donovan Kaufman. He's a Vanderbilt commit. He's a Rivals 250 defensive back. Looks like he's deciding between FSU, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt, the school he's currently committed to. So that's kind of the dynamics of that is if Kaufman says, hey, I'm coming to FSU, then looks like FSU probably won't offer the Williams kid, and then that'll be it for defensive back. But that's kind of where that situation stands. And he does like Indiana a lot, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that even if FSU offered that, he ended up, saying, hey, I think I want to go to Indiana. Could be a situation like that. But I tend to lean more towards if he gets the FSU offer that he's probably going to end up at FSU.
All right. And he obviously, Sidney Williams, a 3-star safety from Vigor High School that's on the coast in Alabama in Mobile. So let's keep it defensively. I think everybody, actually, no, everybody's kind of defensively minded. DJ Lundy's my dude. I don't even know the guy. I just know that he wrestles and has a jaw made out of granite, it looks like. So I want him signed up. How did that come about, and how strong is the pull do you think that Florida State has? And I know you're working on getting more information, which will be on the Premium Recruiting Board probably when people listen to this on Monday throughout the day. But DJ Lundy, I mean, just I don't want to say under-recruited, but maybe one of those diamonds in the rough. At least he looks like it off the hoof, man.
Yeah, he's a massive-looking kid. He's a big thumper, middle linebacker. Well, we didn't do a spring tour there, Aslan, so I think there's a good chance he could probably end up at FSU. But seems like every kid we do there, it seems like that's like the kiss of death. But no, he's a kid that's always grown up liking FSU. Georgia supposedly offered, but I think it's more like a contingent offer to like a gray shirt or something like that. I'm not buying into that he's got a full-fledged offer. Virginia Tech has always seemed to be the biggest competition from what I was told. Going into the weekend, it was Virginia Tech as the favorite, and then I hear that his parents prefer FSU. They really like FSU. Virginia Tech just hired a new linebackers coach, so they don't have to worry about relationships with the position coach. So I think the main thing was how he connected with Coach Marv, the linebackers coach at FSU, and then just how he felt around being around the players. And everything I've heard is that they really nailed that. I'm not going to go ahead and predict that he's coming to FSU, but I would say, based on the intel I get, and these things happen where visits square off, but the intel I'm getting is that I think the momentum was with FSU, so they could realistically pull this one off with a little late magic visit from DJ Lundy. So he's a guy that's very possible for FSU.
And then lastly, TJ Davis. This was somebody I guess I didn't really kind of keep up with to know that he was on the radar. But 6'3", 230-pound defensive end from Metter, Georgia. I guess his visit in terms of what do you think might have been one of the more poignant moments or one of the things that might have put Florida State kind of above the competition?
Well, I think it was between FSU and Georgia Tech. He was very excited about the offer. The one body I pick up body language when I'm interviewing these kids and post visit, and the kid was really, really guarded, trying to say the right things, and obviously had his letter of intent in hand as he left FSU, because obviously Wednesday's a signing day. So everything I've heard is that it clicked. And then they really, really nailed it as far as what they want to get. And I will say this, is as much as the fans on Warchant love DJ Lundy, and that's the most popular guy, the most important recruit that was on campus this weekend was TJ Davis, because FSU needs a speed rusher. He's a speed rusher. He gets out to the quarterback. That's what he does well. Very good. They don't have a lot of guys that do what he does, and he's kind of one of those missing pieces that they need. I know he's only a 3-star, but very good at getting after the quarterback, and he was a guy that from the beginning of that weekend, the staff made him a major priority. Coaches were all out there right when he arrived on Friday. They're pushing like crazy to get this kid, and I've already forecasted him to Florida State. That's free for anyone that can see any profile. So I forecast him Florida State, and I just think that that's the offer he's been looking for. He got that before the visit started. What I was focused on is just how he connected with the staff. He likes Coach JP a lot, the defensive ends coach. I think he connected with him. And then FSU has one of the best business schools out there, and he told me today that he's majoring in business, and that kind of was another positive for FSU. And if he just said something like mechanical engineering and Georgia Tech, I'd say, yeah, that might be Georgia Tech, but it kind of screamed FSU when he said the business school because FSU's got one of the best out there. But it just seemed like everything I've gotten was it seemed to sound good for FSU, and at the end of the day, I think that's where he's going to end up. Whenever he does make that decision, he says he's going to announce Wednesday, but we'll see if that happens or if he just decides to do it earlier. And we have to see if the visit wears off, but their information changes. But right now, I would say I think this kid's going to end up at Florida State.
All right. So that was going to be my last sort of question. I think, Kenny Dillingham, offensive coordinator, kind of tweeted out he was expecting some good news either Sunday night or Monday morning. So that might kind of align with what Michael just put down there. So, all right, I'm not going to keep you much later, Michael. Go ahead.
I will say this. I don't think the Dillingham tweet has anything to do with anybody that visited this weekend.
Oh. 2020 guy? 2021? What are we talking about?
I'm not gonna say what year he is because I don't want to ruin the surprise. Okay. But I think FSU fans will be happy, and it's a position that you want going into any season. Okay. It's a position that they really want to nail, and I think people will be pretty happy. I think it'll be a solid pickup, and people will find out first thing Monday morning who it is, but it's definitely not anybody that visited this weekend.
All right, look at that, man. It's a good. It's what we call a tease in the podcast business. Good tease. Go to warchant.com. Check out the premium recruiting board. Use that promo code warchant30 if you're not already a member to get dialed into everything that's going on with recruiting. Michael's got write-ups, write-downs, everything you could think of when it comes to recruits that were on campus this past weekend. Michael, let's do it all again on Wednesday, friend.
You got it. I'm ready. All
right, he's Michael for Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. We'll catch back up with you on Wednesday.
Zaxby's Caribbean Jerk Chicken is just like a vacation in the tropics, only without the sunburn or the dive-bombing seagulls or all of that pesky sand.
How'd it get in there?
Well, at least it tastes like the tropics. Enjoy our famous chicken tossed in a tropical blend of spicy habanero, fruity mango, and exotic island spices. The Caribbean Jerk boneless wings and the new filet sandwich meal. 2 more reasons you'll get a kick out of Zaxby's.